Hey, DM Gallibond here for Combat Saturday. Today is May 2nd, 2020, and today we're talking about spiked armor. Now, every now and then, D&D comes up with a real clunker of an item, and I am going to submit that spiked armor is one of those real clunkers, especially as it's presented in 5th edition. It's too heavy, doesn't give you enough armor, and there's really no reason for the spikes except to add extra weight. Mechanically, it doesn't give you any kind of advantage at all in 5th edition. It's just dumb the way they have implemented it here. Now, I like 5th edition as a rule. I think it's a really easy addition for a lot of new players to come into, and I really do think that this armor was thrown into the game to appease the video game generation. You know, if you think about for the last 20 years, really, ever since EverQuest came out in 1999. Shout out to anybody that remembers that game. When EverQuest came out, and then followed by World of Warcraft and the subsequent games that came out, you always had more and more elaborate armor, and a lot of the armor that came out in those games had a lot of spikes on it. And it was, when you draw armor in a game, it's all just pixels, and you can digitally call that whatever armor class you want or whatever armor rating you want. But in D&D, it's got there's, because everything has a weight, and because you have an encumbrance for your character that it can only carry so much weight, if you're going to put something on the armor, it can't just be cosmetic, especially if it's adventuring gear. Now, if you're creating a set of ceremonial armor to have at feast days, or to go and intimidate the local city council or something like that, okay, great. You wear your spiked armor, and now you look like some reject from, that got thrown out of a biker bar. Because all the Hell's Angels wouldn't let you in. And so instead of doing that, you're showing up at the village council, looking all emo like, somebody out of a 1980s hair metal, music video or something. And looking back through the history of D&D, there's not really a whole lot of precedence for this. It doesn't show up in original, 1st edition, 2nd edition, or 4th edition. The only place it shows up is in 3rd edition, and it really doesn't even show up as a full set of armor. It's an add-on that you can pay to have added to other armor. So you see right here, it says spiked armor, and it's considered a martial weapon. And we'll talk a little bit about why it is there. When worn by a small creature, it deals 1d4 damage. Worn by a medium creature, 1d6 damage. Critical range, so it does twice as much damage. And then piercing is the damage type for it. Okay, well, how do they figure out all this stuff? Well, if we go down here to the armor table, you will see that it's an extra armor spikes. Adds 50 gold pieces to put spikes on armor. Now, typically you're only going to put this on a leather armor. So let's say here's the leather armor at 10 gold pieces. You're going to pay an extra 50. So you're going to take a 10 gold piece armor that weighs 15 pounds, add another 10 pounds to it, and pay 50 gold. but you're actually getting some utility out of it. You're getting that extra damage. Well, how do you get that damage? Okay, well, armor spikes. You get that damage on a successful grapple attack. So what you're doing is you're going up, you're grabbing your enemy, you're pulling the enemy into you, and you're grinding them on those spikes that you have on your armor. Well, okay, now it's functional. In 3rd edition, that's at least functional. You go back and you look at 5th edition, it's not functional. It's just there for decoration. There's nothing in rules as written that says how those armor spikes would work. So, I submit the way it is done in 5th edition, not a good solution. Like I said, I think it's just there to appease the video game crowd, and it's. I think it should just be cosmetic, and you shouldn't even have to have a separate, a separate entry for this, unless you're going to go through the trouble of then saying that on a grapple check you get to deal damage with the spikes on your armor. But that's not here. Alright, so that is going to do it for today for our discussion of spiked armor. If you like what we do here on this channel, I would love it if you can go and you can click the subscribe button down below and ring the bell. That'll let you know when we post new videos. Each day during the week we have videos on a different aspect of the D&D game. You can also find in the description of the video below information about my Twitch channel. I run actual play D&D games a couple of nights a week, and then on Monster Monday over on Twitch I do a in-depth discussion of a monster from D&D and talk a little bit about not only what makes that monster tick, but how you can use it in a campaign, and then how you can even reskin it to make it into something new. Alright, so I have been DM Gallibond. This has been Combat Saturday, and thank you guys so much for watching, and leave any comments that you have, and we will see you next week. Alright, good night.